Imagine being cut off from seeing, knowing or holding your child. That is the brutal reality facing dozens of Australian families whose kids have been abducted by their Japanese parents, and it's all completely legal.
It's a fight that started nearly 3 years ago.
Today I'm testifying in court in Japanese because we're suing the Japanese government.
Overnight, they lost that battle. More than a dozen Aussie parents, grandparents and children failing in their effort to sue the Japanese government for violating their human rights by tearing their families apart.
It's been nearly 5 years now since I've spoken to or seen my children.
Currently, under Japanese laws, there's no such thing as joint custody, meaning just one parent is given total control over the children and can cut them off from the other parent.
I think about my children every minute of the day and night. Stopped working, basically, it's life-changing. My whole world went upside down.
What's more, Japanese courts usually give custody to the parent that has taken care of the child most recently, triggering a race to snatch the child and disappear when relationships sour.
I go over there and I knock on the door. Due to Japan's sole custody laws, the police can come along and arrest me. And I do not want to get arrested in Japan because I don't want my children thinking I'm a bad person or a criminal.
Since 2004, at least 82 Australian children have been taken by their Japanese parent.
I think about you every day, both of you, and I wonder if you're thinking about me as well. I want you to know that I'm always here. I'm always waiting for you.
Under international pressure, Japan's Justice Ministry this week announced it will consider introducing joint custody, but families are sceptical.
I just hope that their changes are real and effective and they come into place as soon as possible and they give rights to both the parents.
Without waiting for that to play out, the Australian Embassy has started sending letters directly to abducted children in Japan, advising them they could apply for an Australian passport once they turn 18. Some of them might not even know they are Australian, let alone who has been waiting and wishing for them this whole time.
I miss you guys every day. It's just, I love you with all my heart. I've been trying everything I can to get in contact.
I love you both and I miss you heaps. And goodbye.
Well, Catherine Henderson, who we just saw there, has been separated from her children since April of 2019. She joins us now. Catherine, what happened to you?
In the lead up to them being taken, my ex-husband had actually asked me for a divorce a year and a bit earlier, and he'd actually moved out of the home once, but he returned. And after he returned, he tried to do his best to get me to leave the home, but I wasn't going to leave my children under any circumstances. So I did my best and tried to stay in the home with the children, hoping that eventually the courts would understand that he was making my life miserable and that wasn't good for the children.
Catherine, I believe your daughter's recently turned 19. Do you have hopes for reconnection?
So my daughter will turn 19 next month this month. I think that I'm not going to be able to reconnect with my children until they're living apart from their father. I think they know that it would displease him if they were to spend any time with me, so they're unable to do that right now.
Catherine, this is a heartbreaking story. As a father, I'm even struggling to get my head around what's going on here. I mean, I guess most people in Australia are still trying to fathom how this can be legal because culturally it is so different as it is here in Australia. How is it explained to you?
I'm not sure that it's been explained to me necessarily, and it's something obviously that I've thought about every day for the last 4 years and 4 months. But my understanding is that it's very, very old-fashioned and outdated laws combined with conflict avoidance. That's the conclusion that I've come to.
But we did see overnight that you lost the battle to sue the Japanese government as well. What does that mean the next step is going to be for you?
So that was in what's in Japan is the High Court. So we are now going to appeal that to what's called the Supreme Court. So we will keep fighting.
What is it like waking up every day for you? You don't have your kids with you. All you want is them back, but then you have to fight these legal battles. You have to go to these mediation sessions. Just how do you get through all that?
Initially, I had a lot of hope and a lot of optimism that the system would work well and that it would understand the great injustice that had been done. But over time, I became disheartened with the Japanese legal system and I fell into a depression and I found it really difficult.
So legally, what are your avenues right now?
I'm about to try to start another process in order to be able to see my son, who's just 14 years old. But I don't have any hopes that that will be successful. I'm mostly doing it just so that my son knows that I tried.
Catherine, I believe you're allowed to write letters. Have you had any responses from them?
I often send letters and presents to my children, but I haven't had any responses from them. So I don't know if they're actually receiving them or not.
When you reflect on the last 4 years that you've spent without your children, what have you missed out on through all this?
Yes, I've missed out on a lot of birthdays and a lot of Christmases and a lot of just really normal things that other parents take for granted. And I had a lot of difficulties seeing parents and children interacting with each other. That would upset me greatly and I'd have a panic attack. Just seeing simple things like taking your children to swimming lessons, things like that. I'm starting to get better at dealing with that, but it's just the simple everyday things that you miss out on.
What would you say to your kids? If they could watch this, what would you say?
I'd say that I miss them very much and I'm always thinking of them and that I love them and that I'll never give up.
Catherine, I know this was difficult for you to talk about. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much.
As I said to Catherine, this is just a heartbreaking story. And we were talking about it a lot in the office, weren't we? It boggles your brain to think, OK, your relationship hasn't worked out. But then what has that got to do with the kids? If they're lucky enough to have two parents in their lives, they should have two parents in their lives. It's got nothing to do with your relationship. And when she spoke about conflict avoidance, because I think culturally in Japan that's a big thing, it's like, sure, but your kids will then grow up and I'm sure the truth will come out that you ostracise them from one of their parents. Then you're not going to have a relationship with your kids. It's not going to end well.
It is. It just tears your heart out, and it's it could not have been easy for Catherine to speak about it, but she's determined to keep fighting because she wants to bring awareness to this and she wants change to happen, and we wish her the absolute best with all of that. Yeah.